Yo, peace was good. Welcome to the installment of my introduction, I should say. And the artist that I want to cover today is DMX. And alright, you guys should know who DMX is. For those who don't know who he is, he's like the head honcho or the lead rapper of Rough Riders. You know, Rough Riders with LOX, you know, Eve, Dragon, Young One, you know, cats like that. You know what I'm saying? So a whole bunch of artists and stuff like Cassidy and all that shit. You know what I mean? How I got introduced to DMX actually was back in like the summer of 1998. I was 11 years old. I was in 5th grade going on to 6th grade because in September of that year, that's when I became a 6th grader. You know what I mean? So I remember hearing Rough Rider Anthem for the first time. I remember hearing that song for the first time, and I was like, yo, that shit is hot. That shit is tough. You know what I mean? And like, you know, people was playing that shit all over the hood, yo. Like, you could not walk away in New York. You couldn't walk around New York without hearing that song. Like, that's how popular that song was. And I forgot where I heard it at. I think I heard it at one of the parties my mom's do, my mom and my stepfather do, because at the time in the 90s, like, my house was like a party house. Like, people, where everybody had get-togethers and stuff like, you know, you always go to that one house that had like get-togethers. That was my house. You know what I mean? Like, where you had like certain family members beefing with each other, and then they kind of settled the score. Not obviously not fight like you're about to fight, but like they kind of dead their beef. It would always be at my house, so it was kind of like one of those things. So that's why everybody. It was like my house was like the neutral house, pretty much. And so, so it was either like one of the get-togethers, like the summer backyard parties we used to have back in the day, or like somebody on the block in their car playing that shit. But either way, I heard it in my neighborhood, and that was like the first time I heard that shit. And from then on, and then by that time, that's when I heard after Rough Riders Anthem. Then I heard like Get At Me Dog, you know, songs like that. And so when I got back to school back in September of 1998, by that time I was in 6th grade. I just got into 6th grade. And then around that time, you know, there was you know, people started talking about the movie Belly. And at first I'm like, Belly? What the fuck is Belly? You know what I mean? I'm thinking like, you know, hardcore MC like DMX, you know, starring a movie called Belly. You know what I mean? But, you know, at the time, I didn't think, I wasn't as, I mean, I was smart, obviously, but I wasn't like, you know, I didn't have the vast knowledge. I mean, how could you? You're 11 fucking years old, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't think of Belly being a Belly of the Beast, you know what I mean? So that's, you know, when I got older, that's when I realized, you know, that was Belly, that was the whole point of Belly. But anyways, at that time, you know, Belly was about to come out. You know, came around. I believe it dropped. I want to say fall of that year of 1998. That movie dropped and stuff like that, and that was like the hottest thing at that time, because you gotta remember, like, that movie Belly started a lot of dope MCs, a lot of MCs that was popping at the time. So imagine, you know how nowadays people call Drake, Lil Wayne, Young Thug, Meek Mills, and all those cats the hottest thing out now, or Jay-Z. So imagine, you know, DMX, Method Man, Nas, you know, Ghostface Killer, you know, cats like that in the movie Belly, and all these hip-hop superstars in a movie, you know, and it was just crazy. And at that time, you know, Def Jam had their whole campaign going on, like the whole Def Jam 2000, you know, like I mentioned on the Redman introduction video that I did before. Check that out if you haven't peeped it. And at that time, like, you had like, you know, the Survivor the Illest tour that came out. Then you had the Hard Knock Life tour that came like a year later and stuff like that. And so, like I said, Belly came out. You know, I didn't see the movie until years later, until like I think like around 2000s, like, when I finally saw Belly. And so fast forward to like 1999, I'm in 7th grade now, and so, like, you know, by this time, like, Rough Riders and Rockefeller and then Cash Money was running things, because by that time, No Limit, they were kind of like on a decline. Like, they had their little run, like, from like 97 to like, well, maybe not 97, but like, I would say commercial wise, I would say like 97 to like maybe like by the tail end of 1999, and it kind of like fell off. Because by that time, you know, Cash Money was like actually on the rise. You know, they got their like face on the map like around 98, 99. And so, like I said, those 3 record labels was popping at the time. Like I said, it was Rough Riders, Rockefeller, and Cash Money. That was like pretty much the phase of hip hop at that time, because by that time hip hop has changed drastically. You know, niggas wasn't really sampling at the time. You know, they weren't really sampling like that. If you was sampling at that time, you was considered like, you know, underground or, you know, old school. So you know how it is, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, I'm not gonna front. Like around that time, I hated what hip hop, the direction hip hop was going at that time. You know, so I didn't like that whole Rough Rider shit. I didn't like Rockefeller. I didn't like, you know, the whole Cash Money shit that was going on at the time. But then I would say maybe like the tail end of 1999 going to 2000, I ended up buying DMX's It's Dark, Hell Is Hot. I bought that shit. I fell in love with it. I was like, yo, this album is fucking sick. Fucking love that album. Love that shit. Love that shit. Love that shit. And then I fell in love with that album so much, like, yo, like, you know, I used to carry the CD with me to school. You know, I would play that shit in the CD and stuff like that. And I believe I got one, that was like one of the CDs I got stolen and shit like that. But I had to buy that album again and something like that. But anyways, you know, bought that album. And then back in 1999, he had dropped And There Was X, which I did a review on, which you hear in the songs from that song Famous from that album that you hear in the background. And the song before that, The Professional. But anyways, you know, Party Up came out back in 99, stuff like that. And like I said, you know, And There Was X came out at that time. Didn't hear the album at that time because, like I said, I was just so disgusted with hip hop at that time. I wasn't even listening to hip hop. I was just listening to straight 80s shit, like 80s rock, like new wave, like, you know, B-52, you know, UB40, even though UB40's reggae and stuff like that. You know, Huey Lewis and the News, you know, shit like that. That's how much I hated hip hop at that time. But then, back in like 2000, my boy Aaron, shout out to my nigga Aaron, he actually had all those albums, like all the DMX albums. So I would always go to his crib. He would always have like the latest albums at the time that came out. He always had the illest albums, and he put me onto a lot of albums and stuff like that. So shout out to you. But anyways, he had a copy of And There Was X. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, he had And There Was X. He had It's Dark, Hell Is Hot, and he had Flesh My Flesh, Blood My Blood. So then, that's when, around 2000 was when I got into Flesh My Flesh, Blood My Blood. And when I heard that album, my first reaction was I liked it, but I feel like it was something missing. You know what I mean? Because I loved And There Was It's Dark, Hell Is Hot so much, I kind of wanted a continuation of that album. And you kind of did. But I feel like the beats were a little bit more cleaner, a little bit more polished, but it was darker, in my opinion, than It's Dark, Hell Is Hot, in my opinion. You know what I mean? You didn't really have a lot of, you know, like radio-friendly songs on the album. Like, yeah, you had, like, Slippin' and, you know, songs like that, but there weren't really radio-friendly songs. That was, like, a lot more darker, because at that time, in that album, he kind of spilled his guts. He was like more emotional. He just talked about how he grew up at the time, especially in the song Slippin', you know, things like that. And you had joints like, you know, Blackout with DMX, with LOX and Jay-Z, Dope Posse Cut, and joints like that. And I grew to love that album. And I was like, yo, this shit is dope. And then that was 2000. And then like in 2001, he had dropped, I believe it was like October, like in the fall of 2001, he had dropped, what's that album? The Great Depression. And I bought the album. And then when I bought Great Depression, again, same deal with Flesh My Flesh, Blood My Blood, did not like the album at all. No. With Flesh My Flesh, I liked the album, but I feel like there was something missing. But then I listened to it, and I grew to like it. You know, I really loved that album. But Great Depression, like I said, that album, I didn't like it when I first heard it. You know what I'm saying? And I was telling my cousin that I was like, "Yo, get that shit to me." Like, nah, I ain't giving that shit. You know what I'm saying? So I listened to it, give it a couple listens, and then I grew to like the album. I was like, okay, got some hot shit, songs like Trina Mo, Damien Part 3 and stuff like that, things of that nature. And so I really started liking the album. And then like years later, I want to say back in 2004, at that time, he was coming out with the album Grand Champ. And one of my friends at school, not really my friend, but like an associate that I used to hang out with back in the day. I guess you could call a friend, but he wasn't a close friend. He had a copy, or he made me a copy of a Grand Champ. And when that album came out, to me, it was the demise. It was the demise of DMX, in my opinion, because at that time, man, like DMX, he was more focused on movies. Because by that time, in 2000, he came out with he was in Romeo Must Die. Then he came out with the movie with Steven Seagal, Cradle to the Grave. These whack. Well, I like Romeo Must Die, but Cradle to the Grave, I just wasn't too crazy about. Exit Wounds, movies like that. No, Exit Wounds, and I forgot the other movie he came out with. Yeah, Cradle to the Grave, Exit Wounds, movies like that. I just wasn't too crazy about those albums. I just felt they were kind of cheesy, in my opinion. But Romeo Must Die, I fucked with. I like that album. I like that movie. And Belly, obviously. But to me, like, Grand Champ, for me, like I said, to me it was the demise of that. It was the demise of DMX. Because by that time, like I said, he was doing movies. He was getting in trouble with the law. Not to say that he wasn't doing that before. And then, he was having trouble with his drug addiction, stuff like that. And like when I heard the album, I was kind of like, yo, like what the fuck? Like some of the beats were very like radio friendly, you know what I mean? But not like in a poppy, like Drake type of radio friendly. But it was just like stuff that they to me were a little bit too clean for my taste. It wasn't the dirty, grimy, borderline hardcore DMX I was looking for. And that album was okay. It was to me, like, it was definitely one of his worst albums. And then in 2005 going to 2006, I think it was 2006 is when he dropped Year of the Dog. And when I heard that album, I was like, that was it. I was like, fuck DMX. Not say fuck DMX, but I'm like, fuck this. I ain't fuck with this nigga no more. You know what I'm saying? Because again, the beats were fucking uninspired. It was just, they weren't DMX. You know what I mean? It was just, I don't know, man. He was just going through a lot of shit at that time. You know what I mean? Like he was, like I said, he was had run-ins with the law and stuff like that. And like Year of the Dog was very disappointing. I only like maybe like 3 songs of that album. One of them was like Blown Away. That song is personal with Jadakiss and D-Block and Styles P, which is a dope song. My opinion, I felt like that should have been a single too. That would have been a dope single, dope video for it, but that never happened, unfortunately. And then by that time he just, I don't know, man. He just fell off the place. He just fell off the place of the by the end of the earth and shit like that. And so it wasn't until like I think it was like 2010 he had came up with a compilation album called Mixtape, and that shit was garbage because I think it was 2010 or 2011. It was one of them shits. But Mixtape was so horribly done, for one. The production wasn't that good. The mixing wasn't that good. It just felt uninspired. You could tell DMX was doing drugs that were heavy at that time. It just felt uninspired. It was like, yo, what the fuck is this? It was like, to me, it was a disrespect to DMX himself and a disrespect to his legacy. So I definitely didn't fucking support that album. You know what I mean? I downloaded it. I listened to it. Just wasn't too crazy about that. And the same thing goes for Undisputed. That was another album I felt like was a horrible album. Again, same thing with the mixing with the album. The mixing wasn't that good because I have a friend, his name is Emmanuel. He was like a co-worker from a dealership that I worked at. he bought the album. He's a big DMX fan, and we played it in his work car. He was playing it, and he even said like, "Yo, I wasn't fuck with. I didn't like. Yo, there was something about the album, like the mixing wasn't that good. Like it just wasn't that good. Like it just didn't sound right. It didn't sound professionally done and stuff like that. And that to me was like a big turnoff for me. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much it, man, about DMX, man. I just hope he overcomes his demons. You know what I mean? I know they just re-released the album like early this year. It was like sometime last year. DMX said like, "Yo, that's not me." I had nothing to do with the releasing of that album. Don't support that shit. And rightfully so. Please, guys, do not buy that shit. It's a double disc album with, I believe, Undisputed being like the second disc. It was like a whole bunch of songs I guess he made back like maybe like around 2010, 11, 12, whatever. And then he came out, and then Undisputed was like the second disc. So he's like, "Yo, don't support that shit. That's not me." You know what I mean? So don't support it. Supposedly he's coming out with a new album. He's gonna get back with his old crew, Dan Grease, Swiss Beats, I think PK Killer too, and I hope so, man. I want to hear that dark, borderline DMX, horrorcore DMX that I want to hear, that I want to listen to. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear that shit, man. I wish him well in life. You know what I mean? I love the guy. I wish him well. I just wish he would stay out of trouble. Fight those demons and put out classic music like he used to, man. And that's pretty much it, man, about DMX, man. Hold your head up, my dude. Hope all is well with you. And that's it, folks. I hope you guys enjoyed that introduction. Definitely stay tuned for more videos. Peace.